was one of my clients committed suicide because she was tortured for dowry. I've been dealing with cases related to forced marriages a lot, and I talk about it a lot, and I've started getting threats on it.
We are a society that is, I think India is basically a society that still lives with the perceptions of caste, creed, color, sex, everything goes side by side. Ma'am, you as an advocate, have you ever encountered a, a caste honor killing or a case that has something that has to do with honor killing or something like that? Have you ever encountered something like that?
One major gap is that protection officers are not appointed. They know, understand, and heal.
Welcome to episode number 3 of the Women's Space. This is your host Himanya Puri, and today along with us we have Ms. Kiran Thakur, who is also an advocate, who is a legal consultant, a legal counselor, and also the director founder of an NGO named Navriddhi Welfare. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank
We
you
are
so
so
much.
happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, today the basic thing that we are going to talk about are women rights.
Okay.
So, before we go into the depth of that part, what basically women rights hold in the legal perspective, the first basic question that I would like to ask you is, in your daily practice, when a women victim or a woman, she encounters you or meets you for the first time, what are those basic instances that on the day-to-day life you see, or they tell you about it, or something that is happening on the day-to-day scale in the legal perspective?
In my daily routine as an advocate, whether I'm representing the matters in court or as a legal consultant when I'm giving consultations or as a legal counselor, or maybe when I do legal awareness campaigns in different areas of Jammu and Kashmir and otherwise also outside Jammu and Kashmir, women come to me basically for domestic violence cases only. Most of the women come to me from an area where they are dealing with domestic violence cases, because that is my field of work and interest also, and I talk about it a lot. So that is one aspect that women come to me with, and the other one is sexual harassment at workplaces, in colleges, because I'm also the external member to many colleges and universities in Jammu and Kashmir. So that is one reason. And there are gender based violence, like women are not given their property rights, especially widows. When it comes to widows, they are not given their property rights. There are other women related violences that I'm dealing with, especially very recently I've started getting cases related to cyber abuse in marriages, like misuse of images and videos of the wife, like a nude video is recorded or images are clicked by the husband, and they are basically tricking their wife and sharing those images and videos to some other people for money. And I've actually got cases, I was consulted in many cases like that by the social welfare department, and I was dealing with that. And there is constant surveillance happening, nowadays. The families are, because in social media, जितना ये हमारे लिए बेहतर है, the more social media is benefiting us, I think it is creating some kind of fear and making people conscious about marriages and the relationships. So people before marriages, in-laws have started installing CCTV cameras inside the houses, in the lobby, near the kitchen, outside the bedroom. So constant surveillance is happening, digital surveillance is happening. So that is making women really conscious, because they feel that they are constantly watched by people, and that is the reason why marriages are not surviving. So these are the kind of cases I'm dealing with.
Ma'am, from a lawyer's perspective, even in the generic way, I'll say it, ma'am, Indian society is full of prejudices.
Yes.
I think it has not been very kind to women in a lot of scales. But ma'am, from a female perspective, I'm saying, is it actually easy to open up to an advocate about what a victim is actually going through? Is it really easy on the first go, from the social or the economic or maybe the family pressure that they are coming with? Is it actually easy to open up to a legal consultant about filing a case or about actually going to the court?
No, it is absolutely not, because many women undergo fear. They are constantly under fear. They are very conscious about talking to people about it, because we live in a society and women are conditioned like that. You have to adjust and compromise to whatever happening in your matrimonial house.
Mm-hmm.
And they are constantly told to adjust, settle the matters, in the places in their matrimonial home
Right.
itself, that log kya kahenge, think about people, think about your children, think about
Mm-hmm.
yourself, nobody is going to accept you, you will not get remarried, the legal system is really tough to deal with. So all these things combined makes it very difficult for a woman to even think about seeking help, seeking any legal help. Very few women come in very confident about getting into the legal battle or filing
Right.
cases. Very difficult. So there is social pressure, there is family pressure, and most importantly there is financial insecurity, especially if a woman is financially dependent on the husband or the in-laws. If she's a widow, for that matter, if the husband is no more and she becomes dependent on the in-laws, so she has to think twice, not just twice, thrice, 10 times, or before even thinking, before even imagining whether she can get into that legal
Right.
battle or not. Why? Because if she's not having money,
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult to
To
contest
sustain a
cases
life.
in the court. And when people argue with me that we have legal aid, so why do you say that? Yes, we have legal aid. That is one kind of a benefit provided to the woman,
Mm-hmm.
but that is only limited to the courtrooms only.
Right.
You are just providing, the woman is not, woman is just freed from not paying the fees of the
Court.
advocate only, and
Mm-hmm.
the whatever the expenses of the court proceedings. But practically on a personal front, she has other expenses like travel
Mm-hmm.
expenses, day-to-day expenses, children's expenses. So if she is unable to manage that, it becomes very difficult for her to even decide whether to file a case or not. And the fact that the insecurity comes in that the maintenance orders, whether the maintenance orders will be granted in time or not, because
Mm-hmm.
maintenance orders don't come immediately, it takes time. In India,
Right.
it takes time. Even though the mandate provides that the maintenance orders need to be given very immediately, and they are immediate reliefs, the mandate provides that, but in reality it's not that easy. So if maintenance orders are not given in time, if they are not taken in time by the advocate, it becomes very difficult for the female to manage the expenses. So that insecurity, you know uh, always there's always a bar in her head,
Mm-hmm.
that okay, whether I should be doing that or not. So that is one of the reasons. And so basically, the problem with women is that they are constantly intimidated, controlled, they are humiliated, and threatened sometimes, that okay, you are not supposed to, the society is not going to accept you, as if you enter into a legal
Right.
battle with your husband or your
Mm-hmm.
in-laws, so you just settle the matter at home. This is what the problems women are dealing with.
Very, very right, ma'am. I can actually relate to this. But one of the things that I'm right here curious about is there a rural-urban divide between women, that the women that come from the urban background are open about their problems, but as compared to that of the rural background, is that so, or is it just a misconception that is going around?
This is absolutely a misconception. You come from the rural background or an
Mm,
urban background, it doesn't matter. Women are treated everywhere in the same manner, because we come from a background, everybody in this country, I'm talking about India, we all
mm-hmm.
come from a background where women are conditioned like that, that you have to be in your limitations,
Right.
you have to adjust to the problems, the thoda bahut adjustment you have to do in your matrimonial place. So this is something very normal. So even if a woman is confident in herself, not because she is weak basically,
Mm-hmm.
even if she is confident that I know what I'm doing is right and I should seek legal help.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody, it doesn't matter what background she comes from. She can come from a middle class background or elite background, or any, she may come from a poor background, like not financially stable, or not, what I'm trying to say is not very rich backgrounds.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The conditioning is the same. Families are the first reason why women don't prefer to start think of even start of getting into a legal battle with their
Mm-hmm.
husbands or in-laws. So that doesn't make any difference.
Ma'am, while we are talking about this part, one of the things that I want to ask you is, While a woman files a particular case, there are certain institutional gaps that she might be facing. Like from the ground part only, she could be facing certain problems. Could you elaborate on it that filing a case, is it very easy or is it something that goes via procedural part and okay, this procedure is set and then in that way that will happen? Or does that actually has some institutional gaps or some implementation gaps that
There
we
are
need to?
actually, see, the act, the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. This act is drafted very beautifully. I've worked on it for I think it's nearly for 12 years. I'm into this research. The act itself is drafted very beautifully, but
Mm-hmm.
the problem is with the implementation of it, the execution of it. So one of the major drawbacks, or I would say the gaps, as you are expressing, the one of the major gaps is non-appointments of the protection officers. So
Mm-hmm.
protection officers play a very important role. Like they are the foundation of the entire domestic violence case. So protection officers are basically the designated officers appointed by the government to deal with the domestic violence cases.
Mm-hmm.
So they are specially trained to deal with these cases. Now the problem is the procedural gaps that you're talking about is that one major gap is that protection officers are not appointed and they have need to be appointed in every district. Now the problem is either they are not appointed
Mm-hmm.
or their additional charge is given either to the CDPOs. These are the existing government officials, basically the
Mm-hmm.
CDPOs or the social welfare officers
Mm-hmm.
who are not trained in this particular field. So it becomes very difficult for them, like because it's not their fault. They are given additional charges. So
Right.
they don't know how to file a domestic incident report. Domestic incident report is basically the report prepared by the protection officer or the service provider who is in charge of investigating the domestic violence matters because they are well trained in that. So the CDPOs or the other officers who are given additional charges, they actually don't know how to investigate the matter. So they cannot prepare the DIR, or even if they're preparing it, they're just writing something on it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be saying this on air or on record, but this is the fact.
Right.
And so these delays in filing domestic incident reports, and if the protection officer is not appointed or they are missing, or
Mm-hmm.
if there is only one protection officer appointed in one district and he has been given a workload of, he's overloaded with a lot of work and given charge of different multiple districts, it becomes very difficult for the women to access the legal remedies at the initial stages in an effective manner, basically. So because the protection officer is required to coordinate with the magistrate, also they are required to coordinate with the medical practitioners and other
Mm-hmm.
officers. So if a woman needs medical aid, if she needs shelter, so
Mm-hmm.
everything has to be uh, dealt with by the protection officer only. So if the protection officer, the main officer who is required to investigate the matter, who is required to help the woman, the complainant, the victim, if he is missing, if he is not functioning, so the entire idea, the mandate itself, that fails at the ground level.
So that basically means that there are some loopholes in the implementation of justice,
Yes, absolutely.
and justice delayed is basically justice denied. Ma'am, while we were talking about women rights, one of the legislations that is really mainstream, and we were talking about it as well, is Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. But you, as an advocate, you could have encountered a lot of legislations apart from this as well.
Yes.
Could you actually elaborate us apart from this particular legislation, what other legislations are actually available to women to
The
seeking
see the
justice?
Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act was enacted in 2005, and before that also we already had criminal legislations, like
Right.
legislations related to cruelty,
Mm-hmm.
harassment, outraging the modesty of a woman. Section 498A of CRPC. That is cruelty by husband and in-laws. It is a very famous section. Now it is Section 85 Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita that is already existing, that
Mm-hmm.
protects the woman from any sort of violence that is happening in the house, but that is primarily into that the penal side, that is punishment size.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, we have the Sexual Harassment, the POSH Act, that is the Protection of Women from the Sexual Harassment at Workplace, that is the 2013 Act.
Right.
And we even have the UGC regulations 2015, that is a subset of the POSH Act only, that is specially made for the female students and colleagues in colleges. Then again, we have other cyber and IT related provisions, where the crimes related to digital media and the digital space is taken care of. Then again, we have there are many other laws, related to women, that protect them in their outer space also, in the society and inside their house also.
Ma'am, in all these legislations, there are certain remedies that are available to women, and it is very important that we talk about it here. Could you actually elaborate what remedies are basically available to women in these particular legislations?
Right. There are basically 6 remedies available under the Act. And
Mm-hmm.
before I elaborate on the remedies, I just wish to mention this categorically, that the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act is not a criminal legislation. Many people are confused about it. This is a quasi criminal legislation. Basically, what is quasi criminal? It is partly civil and partly criminal, because the remedies available, provided by the Act, available under the Act, are basically civil in nature. They are immediate reliefs granted to the woman, but the procedure adopted by the Act is of the IPC. Right, now it is BNS. So that is the reason why it is called quasi criminal in nature. So the very first remedy available under the Act is right to reside in shared household. That is Section 17. So a woman under this Act, the Act says the woman cannot be thrown out of her matrimonial house, even though she has no rights in the property. So she has absolute right to stay in her shared household. Shared household is जहाँ पे उसका ससुराल है, the matrimonial house. Number one. Number two, the second remedy is protection order. This is very important, and this protection order is related to the criminal, the punishment that I was talking about, that I'll be talking about later. Protection order says that if a woman is filing a domestic violence case, or any case for that matter, under Section 18, she and her children, if they are also the complainant, they will be protected by the court. So basically, the orders are passed against the husband and in-laws, restraining them to harm the woman, the complainant, in any manner, not even the children. This is Section 18. And Section 31 of Domestic Violence Act says that if the Section 18 is breached, if the protection of, first of all, you need to ask for the orders. Though the court will not give you automatically, the orders are not given automatically, you have to ask for it. And if protection orders are granted and they are breached by the other party, the husband or the in-laws, then Section 31 of Domestic Violence Act says that you will be jailed for 1 year. The punishment is for 1 year. So that is why we as advocates get very conscious. We keep telling, we usually keep tell the husband that, okay, now protection orders have been passed against, in favor of your wife or their children. Be very sure about the fact that you don't breach them. So even a single, like, unintentional step, like you just go to your the child's school and you just pick your child from the school and you take it home, just because you feel like meeting your child or visiting your child and you are emotionally involved, but that may be taken as breach of protection order. So that should not happen. So this is Section 18. Then Section 19 is residence order. So the court says that either implement or comply with Section 17. That is, either you take the woman inside your matrimonial house, or if you're not comfortable living with that lady because you're suspicious, or the lady is not comfortable living with you, your wife or your daughter-in-law, if she's not comfortable living with you, then a separate accommodation has to be, the orders for separate accommodations are made by the court. So she will be given maybe 1 or 2 BHK apartment, whatever is comfortable to her, and the rent, the directions will be paid to the husband or the in-laws to pay the rent if she is financially dependent on them. That is one reason, that is one remedy. Section 19. Section 20 is monetary orders. The woman, the wife, can claim maintenance from the husband for herself and in favor of her children, the daily expenses and everything, rent, food, shelter, everything. Then Section 21 is custody orders. The woman can be given the temporary custody of the child. Maybe she is thrown out of the matrimonial house and without the child. The child has been taken in the the custody of the child is taken by the in-laws, and more in many cases the in-laws do that deliberately just to blackmail the woman, the mother, so that she doesn't file any criminal cases against them. So she can apply for custody orders and temporary custody can be given to her. And finally we have section 22, that is compensation orders, where compensation can be claimed by the victim if she, whatever mental trauma and emotional distress that she has dealt with, or any sort of damage that has happened to her property or personal life.
Well, this was one of the most informative part of this podcast. Thank you so much, ma'am, for talking about this. And I think viewers would be also curious about one of the major parts. Ma'am, we are a society that is, I think India is basically a society that still lives with the perceptions of caste,
Hmm.
creed, color, sex, everything goes side by side. Ma'am, you as an advocate, have you ever encountered a, a caste honor killing or a case that has something that has to do with honor killing or something like that? Have you ever encountered something like that?
No, I've not really encountered, to be very honest, honor killing, because I think in this part of
Mm-hmm.
the state in Jammu and Kashmir, we hardly witness cases related to honor killing. But yes, forced marriages.
Yeah.
Forced marriages is a different concept altogether. Honor
Mm-hmm.
killing is related to like when you are in love with some person and the family of the girl is, the girl or the boy for that matter, they don't agree to the marriage.
Right.
But I've been dealing with cases related to forced marriages a lot, and I talk about it a lot, and I've started getting threats on it also because I run an NGO, because I have tried to save women from being you know forcefully married to some very elder people who are bigger in age than what the ladies or the girl's
Yeah,
age
that's
is.
right.
She's quite younger, and maybe because they are under the impression that they will give, the boy's side or the man's side will give some good property or anything. But basically selfish decisions are made by the families. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been dealing with cases related to forced marriages. Yes, so
Right.
this is happening a lot.
Ma'am, while we were talking about this, one of the things that you said that you also run an NGO. So you might be doing a lot of legal awareness among masses. It could be a very, you could say, a strong component of an NGO to do awareness among various masses.
Mhm.
Ma'am, how does that actually help giving women justice and getting them aware about their legal rights? What, ma'am, what is that component? Can you just elaborate on
See,
that part as well?
legal awareness is very important, and I realized this. We always knew this, but knowing something and realizing, इसको in Hindi, in Sanskrit we call it dharan karna. So we realize this only when we are hit by some incident or something happens like that. So in 2022, I must tell you how I started with this legal awareness journey. Before that, I
Right.
was practicing very comfortably in my father's chamber. I was very easy and in my comfort zone. So what exactly happened in 2022 was one of my clients committed suicide because she was tortured for dowry. So she was asked, to get 40 lakhs, an amount of 40 lakhs from her parents because they wanted to buy a flat. So she came to me. She was from Jammu.
Mm-hmm.
She came to me. We discussed certain things, but she was very underconfident because her mother could not support her. Like
All
she
right.
didn't want her to, file for divorce and anything. And when she tried to, persuade them that I don't want to go back to my matrimonial house and I want to start with a divorce case or anything like that, or any other legal proceeding for that matter, her mother did not support her. She basically called her husband and in-laws to their place, and she was sent back. And there we came to know later on, after 3 to 4 days, that she committed suicide. So
Mm-hmm.
after this incident, basically, I started, I decided to start with my legal awareness initiative first. NGO was registered later on. I
Mm-hmm.
started on with my legal awareness initiative that is called Dheera. Dheera means patience. It is basically
Yeah.
a girl's name. It means patience. So just be patient and try and understand the situation. Suicide is not a solution. So this is how I started with my legal awareness journey. And initially, I started my journey with going to the colleges and schools and educating students. And then slowly and steadily, I started I was invited by other organizations as well. I started doing that on legal awareness on district levels also. So when we go and sit there between the masses, like they actually feel that okay, something is happening, like speaking on educating people on social media is also fine, but going between the masses and educating them hits differently. So we are not just legal awareness, we are not just talking to them, we actually try to make it more creative, like students do nukkad nataks also. We try to do some dramas or acting or any skits and everything, so everything gives them a better picture.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps them a lot, and this can help women to take bold decisions, make better choices,
Mm-hmm.
and just sitting amongst them and trying to resolve their problems. I'll give you one very small example. Like I was sitting in a village, and there was a widow lady, a old widow lady, and I was elaborating on FIR, and I just gave one I I just had to tell them that the FIR, the copy of the FIR has to be given free of cost to you.
Right.
And she just stood up and she was like, "Arey, this never happens. Like my son took 1,500 rupees from me once, and then again he took like 1,000 rupees, 800, 700, and the police wala is, and they are not giving the copy." So we had to stay there, and we had to resolve a problem. And we when we investigated a little, because I had my team with me, and we investigated, and we called her son there, and we later came to know that no FIR was actually filed, because there was some problem, some zameen ka problem,
Oh.
some encroachment issue was there.
Mm-hmm.
No FIR was filed, and it was her son who was misleading her. So that is why legal awareness is important for women. Sometimes even your children can be even your children may not be supporting you that much, so it is always better to be dependent on yourself. So
Right.
legal awareness is very important, and that will actually give women the confidence, and to file or register cases, lodge FIRs, and fight cases, and the ability to make choices, and that too
Mm-hmm.
in time, basically.
Right.
Right.
That was an eye opener, ma'am. While listening to all of it, also, I was actually having all of those feelings that we should actually help women to fight for their rights, and we as privileged class, we should actually help the unprivileged, and we should help them attain justice, and we should do whatever we can. That is actually a master stroke that you're doing, ma'am. Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Since we are towards the ending of this segment, I would actually want you to give a very, you could say two lines, or you could actually give a message that you would want to give to the female viewers or the viewers in general. Something that you would want to say to the audience.
The motto of my legal awareness initiative is know, understand, and heal. I keep telling this to women again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Why know, understand, and heal? First, know the law,
Right.
right? Please know the law, speak to the people, or an advocate for that matter. Immediately go and talk to maybe a therapist also. You
Mm-hmm.
go and talk to someone whom you trust a lot,
Right.
and understand what the situation is, and please make sure that you know the law itself. First of all, don't get misleaded by what is happening on social media.
Social media.
Right, social media ek darya hai. You will get so much of information, but whether that information is beneficial for you, that that fits into the facts and circumstances of your case or not, first you need to know that. Now the second step is understand that whether you actually need that solution to your problem, whether you
Mm-hmm.
need that solution or not. I'll give you an example. This example is very important. It's quite funny also. Like I got a call from a consultation was booked actually by one lady. She was pregnant, and she was telling me constantly that my husband is doesn't love me, and he doesn't support me. I want my husband to be with me and all that. I asked her, when she told me that I want my husband to be with me, I asked her, where is your husband? He said he's in army
Mm-hmm.
and he's on duty. And whenever I tell this to my mother-in-law that I want my husband here and he should be, I want his presence
Assisting me,
there,
yeah.
assisting me with all the
Right.
medical procedures and everything. So her mother-in-law used to scold her or whatever. She used to tell her something that he's on duty, he's earning money. So she was telling me that maybe I want to file a case against him because this is mental cruelty to me. And I asked her that where did you get this information from? And she said that one of my friends, she told me that अरे तेरा husband तो तेरे साथ कितना गलत कर रहा है ना, you should be filing a case, you should file divorce. And I was like, who told you to do this? So kindly understand whether you need that solution to your life or not.
Right.
Right, understand the situation. And if you decide to, if you're genuinely in need of filing a case, please understand that the system is quite tiring. It is time consuming, and it is absolutely okay. This is one part. Now the third and the final step is heal. Please understand that you don't have to stick to the ideologies and what people are going to say and log samaj kya kahenge. It is very important for you to heal, and healing comes from whether you want to take a decision that I have to speak up for my problems, I have to protect my children, I have to protect my family, me, my parents' reputation, everything. Do whatever that makes you happy and that helps you heal in your life. That is what I say. Know, understand, and heal.
As
Make
ma'am,
that your motto.
as ma'am rightly said, no, understand and heal. I think the message is clear to all the audience. Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us insights about actually everything about women rights. We'll see you again in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you. Bye.